Good afternoon once again, everyone. Okay, I've got a question from Patty. Okay, good. So, Patty, like I said earlier in the discussion, that the beautiful thing about Prince2, or one of the things about Prince2, is there is no specific order of documents that you need to prepare. You have to understand that what exactly is happening in your own organization. How do we run this in our organization? A typical example is after you get your mandate. If you look at the mandate, the first thing you want to do is you want to start doing an outline business case. You want to start developing your lessons learned log. You want to start your daily log. You want to prepare your project approach. You want to prepare your project brief. You want to do an outline of your PID. Like I said, but the major thing that is important is after you have your mandate is to start preparing your outline business case and also to get your project brief. Because if you don't have your project brief, it is impossible for you to go to the next gate. So you must make sure that you meet your sponsor, you develop your project brief, you give them the project brief. And don't forget, I also said is that project brief is an advanced project mandate. Project brief, and some of you developed project brief 2 weeks ago. I asked you to develop project brief. You did develop project brief, and you saw some project briefs are 2 pages, some are 10 pages. You can see some that are 15 pages, depending on what is given in your particular organization. After you've done your project brief is what we say, yes, a project brief basically it's more like a go, no go area, meaning we now understand that we know to some extent what we need to do. So with that, they're passing you that, okay, yes, you can go ahead to the next stage. And the moment you have your project brief, that means you just finish your pre-project stage and you're not going into the main initiation stage if your organization is using the Prince2 methodology. So when you go into the initiation stage, the things you want to prepare at this stage, at your initiation stage, meaning you have your project mandate. Don't forget, your project mandate is the first document that starts up a project. And after you have your project mandate, you want to start your daily log. You want to do your lessons learned log to start capturing your lessons learned. You want to do your project brief. You want to do your project approach and all that. Then you go into, then you have your project brief that is saying your go, no go decision. You get the green flag from the sponsor that says yes, you can go ahead. The moment you say you can go ahead, then you now start developing your risk register. You want to start developing your issue register. You want to start developing, basically you want to develop your rate log from this stage, because some risks will start coming up and you need to start documenting them. Issues will start coming up, you need to start documenting them. Actions will come up, dependencies will start coming up, decisions, assumptions will start coming up, constraints will start coming up, and you want to start documenting them in your log. And also one of the things you want to get at this stage also is your project plan. You want to get your project plan out at this stage as well. So there is no specific number of documents, or that is after you prepare this and you prepare that one, you prepare this, you prepare that one. That's not the way Prince2 is structured. That's why one of the principles of Prince2 that I taught you says tailored to suit your project. So in your project might say, you know what, we don't even want to see project approach. We don't want to see project initiation document. Some can tell you we don't want to see project initiation document. All we want to see, your project brief, and from your project brief, develop your project design document, your PDD, and from there you can start developing your risk register and your project start going. So this is dependent on what is given in your particular organization. I'll tell you where I am at the moment. We have a project mandate. And when we have the project mandate, we didn't develop a project brief, and we went straight into PID, into project initiation document. You can understand. While some organizations will say, no, we want to see your project mandate, we want to see your project brief, we want to see your project approach, we want to see all the daily logs. We want to check all of this before we can tell you to go to the next stage. So some organizations will tell you that I want to see our governance structure says that all of these documents must be in place. So this is now given in the kind of organization you're working. Some organizations have got the list of documents or the list of artifacts that you need to get in place before you move to the next gate of your project. And the moment you get to that next gate is where you want to start documenting things that must be done for you to go to the next gate again. So different organizations with different things to do. Okay, Patty, great. Tailor to suit project makes sense because I've seen this in different other studying. Yes, exactly what I've been saying. You will see it in different other. It's all about tailored to suit your project. So how do you want it to go in line with the project you're running? So that is very, very critical. Thank you. All right, good. Thanks to have everybody. Good evening, everyone. Once again, I will just go into Patty's questions straight. Today is our last class, so you will bear with me. I will be doing some running, and at the same time, I will make sure that these things are passed to you the way it should be. I'm just trying my best to make sure that everything is covered today, because we have risk management to go through today. We have the issue management to go through. I want to go through the project reporting, and I want to go through change control as well as project planning all today. So if I pace myself with 20 minutes for each, we should be able to get to the end part of today's class. Okay, so it's still the way we're doing it. So as I'm speaking, please make sure that you type your questions. If you have any questions, type them, questions, type them. I'll pick them up and answer them as we go ahead in the training. At some point as well, I'll take a break to give you 5 minutes to digest everything I've spoken about, and also to ask for you to put your questions there, and I will answer your questions and all that. Okay, good. So today we will be talking about risk management. Remember that one of the key when we spoke about Prince2, one of the key things of Prince2 spoke about risk, and also we spoke about risk when we're talking about the PMBOK framework as well. That one of the knowledge areas is actually risk management, project risk management. So basically on the job, as a project manager, as a PMO person, when you get on the job, your basic role is to make sure that risks are captured, to make sure that risks are analyzed, to make sure that risks are responded to as they should be responded to, and risks are also controlled when they should be controlled. So what we'll be talking about today majorly is what exactly is a risk. A risk is an uncertain event or set of circumstances that can occur, that should occur, should it occur, will affect your project in a negative or a positive way. We spoke about positive risk, I think, on the very first day as well. Someone asked a question to say, what if this didn't happen? And I said, okay, that now becomes a positive risk that we need to enhance. And the person asked a question was that, how do you enhance a particular risk? And I gave you an example to say, you've been told to install Office 365 on your laptop, and you now discovered that on the 10 laptops, you now discover that actually one of the laptops has got Office 365 Word or Excel, but doesn't have maybe Publisher, doesn't have PowerPoint, and doesn't have another one there, and all that. So you saw that, okay, even though one of the risks you got earlier on was that the negative risk was one of the laptops might be on Windows 7, which might be difficult for you to install Office 365 on. That is a negative risk. But here is, well, some of the laptops might even have Office 365 on them already. It's a risk. It might not be compatible. So what we want to say is, okay, yes, we discovered that one of the laptops has got Office 365, but it's incomplete. So how do we enhance this particular risk to show that we can reduce the money, because if you have to use the full Office 365 package, it has all the Office suites in them. There will be more money to spend, but now we've got Office 365, even though it's incomplete, but it's got Word and Excel on it already. So that is a positive risk that we can enhance or explore at that time to make sure that yes, we make use of this, even though it's coming to us in a positive way. If it was the other side, it will have been negative, but this comes as a positive stuff. So you have to document both your positive risk and your negative risk whenever you're on a project. Risk management is a structured approach. So one of the things we'll be looking at today is what exactly do you need to do as a risk manager on the job, as a PMO person, a project management office analyst, a lead, a manager, a support and administrator, or a project manager. When you are on the job, how do I go about it? What do I need to do? So it's at this point, whenever you're managing risk or issue, the job of a project manager differs from the job of a PMO person. And I'll go through both tonight. Now, as a PMO analyst, your basic role is to document risk during meetings, during workshops, during your interface with project managers or with team members. So your job is to make sure that you document all the risk in the risk register. I'll show you a sample of the risk register as we go ahead. Is to document your risk in the risk register to make sure that all the required fields are being filled in the risk register. And I will show you all the fields that should be filled in the risk register. So your job is not to sit down and start thinking that what are the risks that could be involved in this particular project as a PMO person. Don't forget that we started off by saying as a PMO person, you need not to be technically inclined wherever you are on the job. The project I am at the moment is it's got a combination of a civil and construction. It's got a combination of racking and warehousing. It's got a combination of production lines. It's got utility involved. It's got IT involved. Trust me, most of the projects I've done in the past are IT projects. I've got no deep understanding of civils and construction, production line from start to finish, utilities and all that. But I am on the project. But all I'm doing is I'm trying to question project managers, make them think, question team guys, make them think to say, okay, do you think? So, and it's because my role happens to be a PMO manager. If I was a PMO analyst, I won't even bother to do all of that. All I just want to say is, guys, can I organize a risk workshop? Because on this project, I know there will be a lot of risk. Can I organize a risk workshop? And all of you will come, all the project managers will be in the room, all the team guys will be in the room. Let's start brainstorming on any risk that could be involved on this particular project. So as a PMO analyst, as a PMO support, as a PMO administrator, that is your job. But as a project manager, your job is actually to think about the risk that can happen on the project. And because you're a project manager, you might not be technically inclined on that particular project you're doing. Now you now need to lean on lessons learned, past project. You need to lean more on the team guys to say, team guys, what are the risks that can occur on this particular project? So these are how you start documenting risk on your project. So when you start doing, as a project manager, you have to be on top of it. You have to understand, okay, what is the risk response plan for this particular risk? You need to speak to your project team guys to say, okay, do we need to respond? Do we need to mitigate? Do we need to, how do we respond? Apologies, how do we respond to this risk? Do we need to mitigate this risk? Do we need to reduce this risk? Do we need to transfer this risk? Or we need to accept this particular risk? So different ways in which you can respond to risk. What do we need to do when it comes to risk? You have to prepare for risk management. There will always be risk on project. There has never been a project without a risk. So as a PMO person, when you are on the job, like I said earlier, I think it was 2 weeks ago I said this, I said that the RAID log, which I call the cardiac log, is your baby as a PMO person on the job. That is your baby. It must always be opened on your laptop or on your machine. always be open, because this is where your actions are, this is where your risk will be, this is where your issues will be, this is where you have your decisions, issues, everything captured. So it's an Excel spreadsheet, a log, while some people use SharePoint. So I won't talk more about SharePoint, but let's just stick to the log. Now, this is so it becomes your baby every time. It becomes a baby every time, that all you need to do is just look at it. Okay, this risk is still open. Who do I need to speak to? So let's go through the process of managing risk. The first thing you need to do whenever you want to manage risk is you have to prepare for risk. How do you prepare for risk? As a project manager, as a PMO manager or a PMO lead, your job is also to prepare for risk. You have to first of all determine the risk category. I just showed you now my program. I've got civils and building, civils and construction, I've got utilities, I've got racking and warehousing, I've got IT, I've got production line. So in short, I was able to categorize the risk into 8 sections. Categorizing the risk into 8 sections, meaning civils, construction, production, IT, racking, warehousing, and utilities. You can see 7 categories. So if anybody is telling me that there is a risk of the conveyor belt not fitting into what we expect it to fit into when it's being installed, I need to ask, what category of risk is that? Someone is telling me it belongs to production. It's a category, the category is production. I have to put that under construction category. Someone is telling me that, you know what, the perfect flow application we use in reporting on the production line might not be fit for our 5-liter bottle line. So the moment you're saying that, I can see that, okay, this is IT as well as production. Where do I put it? Well, if something is an IT project or an IT risk that will not be fit for production, I'll rather put it under IT, and I'll put an action on it to say this involves production as well. So you can see what I'm doing here is I'm determining the risk categories to say what category of risk is this, what category of risk is that. So with that, that makes life really easy for me. Whenever we get to workshop, that's the first thing we say, what are the categories we have? That makes people to think fast. That makes risk management even easier to do. So whenever you get on the job, one of the things you want to talk about is, can we categorize our risk, please? It makes thinking very, very easy for people to see. The moment you see production, you can think about all the risk involved in production. Whenever you see the risk of civil, you can think about all the risk involved with civil. Don't forget, you can type your questions while I'm talking if you have any questions. The next thing you want to do is you want to define your parameters. The definition of parameters is saying that what is the likelihood, what is the impact. I once said this that a lot of people use 3x3 matrix. When we say 3x3 matrix, what we're trying to say, do you want to use the numbering system or you want to use the coding system? So when we talk about the numbering system is, what is the risk of this training not happening tonight? From 1 to 5, can we rate it? Yes. The probability of it not happening from 1 to 5 is 1. Why? Because in the last 4 weeks that we've started, this is the 5th week now, and in the last 5 weeks that we've started, we've never missed a training. So the probability of us missing it tonight or not happening tonight is very, very low. So I'm going into analysis now, but I'm just telling you how to define parameters. So you can define your parameters by using numeric values, and you can define your parameters by using weight or color coding. So you can see now that I've said when we're preparing for risk management strategy, we're saying that on my project we are using low, medium, high. Some people can tell you that no, on my own project we want to use 1 to 5. Someone will tell you that no, on my own project, I want to use green, amber, and red. So from the start of a project, you need to agree on what do we need to use. I always say this again. Whenever you get on a project or into an organization, there is always a set standard in most of these organizations already. All you need to ask is, what do you use in your organization? But can I see a sample of the risk management strategy? When you see the sample of the risk management strategy, everything will be written inside. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. All you need to do is pick up that strategy or pick up that plan and fine-tune it to the project you are working on. And if there is nothing in your organization that you've gotten a job with, just go on Google, just download risk management strategy and use that and fine-tune that to the project you're doing. But if you're saying you need to start, development of a risk management strategy from the start, you will get lost and you might not get the buy-in of everybody while you're doing it. So that is how to define your parameters. What is the likelihood of it happening? Is it low, medium, or high? While some organizations will tell you that what we want to use at the moment, the parameters we're using at the moment in my organization is 5 by 5. We're using very low, medium, high, and very high. So we're using a 5 by 5 matrix in my organization at the moment. Meanwhile, when I was at PhD, we were using a 3 by 3 matrix. So different organizations with different parameters of measuring risk or issues. Is that clear with everyone? So after that, you now need to define your thresholds. You need to define your triggers, your threshold. Thresholds or triggers, let me talk about thresholds first. For your threshold is what we call tolerance level. Tolerance level in the sense that you can say that any risk that is low, we don't want to bother ourselves about it. But the moment the risk crosses the medium level, or it crosses this part, or crosses number 3 to 5, we need to be careful about that risk. So what we are saying is, we still have a tolerance level for some level of risk within this organization. So within your management strategy, within your risk management strategy or risk management plan, all of these will be mentioned there to say that any risk that is affecting 2 days of work, if a risk is affecting 2 days of work, we can still accommodate that. But the moment it is more than 2 to 3 days, we need to escalate this risk and all that. So that's where you will definitely identify your risk into that. Then the next thing now talks about identifying tools. What tools do we want to use? Some people use mind mapping to do risk analysis and to do risk identification. Some people use brainstorming session to do risk identification. Some people use documentation review to do risk identification. So you need to understand that what will be good for you to use in your organization. In the past, what I have used on all the projects I've worked on is actually brainstorming session, a workshop and a brainstorming session. Lock everyone inside the room. We need to start identifying risk. This project, if we want to be successful in this project, we need to start identifying risk. And for us to identify risk, I want every one of you to get into a room. Let's start writing risk on our post-it notes and start putting it on the wall. We put it on the wall, then we can now start fighting each other to say, no, you know what, that is not a risk, that is you forming things up. That can never be a risk, you understand? So after we've identified all the risks, we can now go into the analysis of that risk. Right, so you identify risks, you classify them according to parameters, and you document them. Make sense? Okay. So, I've spoken about identifying risk. Where available, PMO or other external support can be used to facilitate. You can see this. You, as a PMO person, if your project manager is asking you to facilitate, but most especially, project managers will be the one to facilitate the risk. Okay, you can see here, they have different categories. This particular template has got different categories. Are they external risk? Are they project governance risk? Are they people-oriented risk? Are they information risk? Are they execution risk? So this, like I said, is dependent on your organization, how you want to categorize your risk. So this is a typical risk register. Some people will call it the risk log. Some people will call it risk register. We are saying the same thing. So don't get carried away if you hear something like that. Okay, so if you look at this particular risk register, they are using a 4x4 matrix. They are using minor, moderate, significant, or severe. Now, if you look at this risk register, like I said, all you can do for yourself is just go on Google, just type in risk register or risk log template. It will bring you different kinds of template that you can fine tune to get into what you want to do. But I'll pick up each of these headings one after the other for you to see what exactly are the content of a risk register when you get on a project. So when you get on a project, you must have a standard reference number. And the best reference number you can use is to use risk 001, R001, R002, because don't forget that in our cardiac log, we have actions, we have risk, we have issues. So you can say action AC001 when you want to document your action. But reference codes are very, very critical when you want to populate your risk register. Reference codes are very, very critical for you to use because you'll be referencing them. So you need those codes to be populated. So you have your risk description. For our project of LBB, London Borough Bexley project that we're working on, to say 10 Office 365 on 10 laptops for 10 days for £10,000 and all that. So we can say one of the risks is there's a risk that the mayor of London Borough of Bexley, her laptop might not be available because she's always in a meeting. So that is a risk for us. Don't forget that we have a 10-day delivery. We have a 10-day delivery time, and we have identified that risk because she's always in a meeting and she's always working around with her laptop. That is a risk that our laptop might not be available for us. So we have a risk description here to say the risk description is there is a risk that the mayor of London Borough of Bexley laptop might not be available for us to install the Office 365. What is the impact if it should occur? There will be a delay in the project timeline we can quantify it, say by 2 days or by 3 days, if we are able to analyze what the impact is. Okay. Okay, Mandy is asking, is a risk register a standalone register or should it be part of a RAID log? So it is the R in the RAID log. So the R you are seeing that you wrote as RAID log. So the RAID stands for risk, assumption or actions, issues, dependency or decision. So that's why I say it's better for, I always call it cardiac log, really. Okay. So it's part of it. Alright, so you have actions or triggers. Action is saying that, okay, what are the actions we need to take? The action we need to take is, if we can ask the mayor of a substitute laptop, you can get a substitute laptop for her to use, maybe our own personal laptop at home if she's got it, can you use it? Or we just schedule everything, we look at that, we say, okay, action is it possible we speak to our secretary to see if there is a space of 2 hours that she's not in a meeting, or she's in a meeting that she doesn't need a laptop? Then we can actually plan around our timing. What we are trying to do at that point is we're trying to respond to that. So we're taking action to say, speak to the secretary to see if we can plan around our timing. So what we've done so far is we've placed an action. What is the likelihood that the mayor of LBB's laptop will not be available? Oh, the probability is high. While we're doing the brainstorming or we're doing the workshop, the probability is high. Why do you say it's high? Oh, it's high because she's always using a laptop to take minutes in meetings. She's always using a laptop to project what she wants to present in meeting. So you can see that the likelihood is really high. So we can say the likelihood is high. What is the impact high? Of course, the impact also is high. Likelihood is high, impact is high if it should happen. Right. So what is the severity? Severity basically, what we call severity basically is likelihood times impact. So if you have high likelihood, a high impact, definitely severity will be high. If you have low probability and high impact, definitely severity will be medium. If you have medium severity, medium probability and medium impact, definitely severity will be medium as well. If you have medium likelihood and you have high impact, definitely severity will be impact. You always take the one that is higher as severity. Does that make any sense? Now, we're now going into what is the financial impact on the project. If that should happen, what is going to be the financial impact on the project? We're saying that, okay, the financial impact on the project is actually an addition of 2 days, because we will now need to pay the delivery manager or the project manager for the extra 2 days that they will be coming for. You get? So if we say that, we can now say, okay, maybe £1,000 for the 2 days, blah, 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 blah. So we can put a financial cost to that. Okay, who are we going to give the owner of this particular task? The project manager? Can you be the owner of this risk list? So as a PMO person, don't leave meetings. I'll say this again. The moment you are in a meeting and someone identifies a risk, don't leave that meeting without asking who is the risk owner of this particular risk. If you're a project manager, quickly assign that risk to someone. Okay, so when you ask who is the risk owner for this particular risk, you assign the risk to that person, and boom. After the class or after the whole meeting, you need to go and sit down with this person and say, okay, John, you know what? Risk 11. Risk 11, you're the owner of risk 11. Is it possible you both sit down with it on this particular risk and have a detailed description of this risk? Because in meetings, you will not be able to go through all of these sub-headings. The only thing you only get in the meeting might be a risk description. That's the only thing they will give you, risk description in the meeting, because in a particular meeting, they can capture like 10 different risks. Because that is not a risk workshop, it's just a normal project update meeting. So a normal project update meeting, and someone mentioned the risk, and quickly as a PMO person, you're documenting it, and the moment you document that, you want to quickly recap, say, sorry guys, we just identified a risk now, and the risk is that the LBB may or might not be available. Sorry, please, who's going to be the owner of this risk? And they're saying, oh, the owner of the risk is Mandy. The moment they say the owner of the risk is Mandy, okay, you want to say, okay, thank you very much. While the meeting is it's over, we quickly want to step up as a PO person. We want to step up to Mandy, say, Mandy, that risk, is it possible I block 10 minutes out of your diary for us to just have a detailed explanation of this so that we both can understand what the risk is all about? You have to be proactive. You have to quickly do that. You understand? And I'm sure Mandy will tell you that, oh, sure, why not? Because Mandy will not tell you no in front of everybody, even though she doesn't want to take the ownership of that risk. So you're trying to hook it on her head immediately to say, oh, sure, why not? And the moment you get back to your desk, people want to put a 15-minute meeting into the diary to say, oh, let's talk about this risk. And she can give you full explanation. And if she doesn't have full explanation about it, she say, okay, is it possible I bring it up in the next project update meeting so that we all can talk about it? So in your next project update meeting, you want to put it as an agenda to say risk 11 is an agenda, because Mandy couldn't tell you enough detail about that particular risk. So you quickly want to tell them that, okay, can we put it as an agenda? Can we talk about it and all that? Okay, so that is that about ownership. You want to document dates raised, You want to document status. Status is saying where are we with it? Where are we with it? What is this? Are we still ongoing, in progress? While the risk, you have the other one which is open or closed. Okay, I've got a question here. No, the risk owner is not the person that identifies it. Sometimes it might be the person that identifies it, but identifier is different from the risk owner. So you might have some templates. You might see some templates online where the risk identifier, you have a column for risk identifier and you have a column for risk owner. Why we have risk identifier in some of the templates is because the risk owner might not have good understanding of what the risk is, while the risk identifier does. So you might need to speak to both of them sometimes to say, oh, you identified this risk. Can you tell us more about it, because the owner doesn't really have a good understanding about the risk. Does that make any sense? So sometimes the risk identifier are different from the risk owner, and sometimes they might be the same. That is what you do. Like I said, remember I told you about your risk. So this is a very typical risk grid. This is your risk grid telling you about the impact and the likelihood. So the likelihood of these guys here, they are saying the likelihood is 1, 2, 3, 4. So the moment you say likelihood is 1, 2, 3, 4, this is medium, high, critical, low, insufficient, and all that, insignificant. So it depends on where your risks are falling into. When you pick up templates, I love few templates. Few templates will tell you the moment. Few templates are called macros. So whenever you're searching for templates online on Google, always look for the one that has got macros. The one that has got macros are very, very simple, because the moment you populate this your log, automatically it goes into the grid down here, and you can see, okay, because this particular risk is 4 times 4, which is 16, it will definitely be at the critical state. So if your likelihood is 4 and your likelihood is 4 and your impact is 1, definitely you can see that it's at the M stage here. So that is how to describe what your likelihood is and what your what your likelihood is and what your impact will be, and from there you can get your severity. So there is the multiplication of impact and likelihood that gives us severity, really. Okay, let's talk about the process. So risk acceptable responses. You can avoid risk. Change the project plans to eliminate the risk. That means you are avoiding risk totally, to say, okay, we don't want to do this particular part of the activity because we don't want to go through this, or you don't want to do the project entirely just because you are avoiding the risk. Transference. You want to get insurance. So what we do when we get insurance for our cars is transferring risk to a third party. Transferring risk to the insurance. Like when I have my accident, instead of me going through the project of fixing my car, insurance will fix the car for me. So that's what is called risk transfer. Mitigation. You're trying to reduce the probability of the impact. Like I said, one of the things you can do is to speak to the secretary of the EA or the PA or the mayor of London Borough of Bexley to say, oh, can I look at the diary? When is it free for Madam Mayor for us to get it? Whatever. What you're trying to do is, the risk is still there, but you're just trying to reduce the impact by saying, okay, we can do 2 hours to install this. We give it back to her. Then the next whatever we use another 2 hours to install what we want to install, and by that time we'll be able to do whatever. Or you accept the risk to say, okay, whatever happens, let it happen. But please, risks that are always acceptable are risks of lower impact. You can't accept risk of high impact. You can't tell you that you're losing £500,000 on this particular project and you say, yes, why not? Let's accept it. Let's absorb it. No, you can't absorb such. You get, because it's of high impact. You can only accept risks that are of low impact. Alright, so this is a typical risk management process. I'm going to enlarge it. I'll put it in presentation mode for me to talk through it. So I'm taking my time I'm taking my time to talk through risk because the same way we're managing risk is the same way we'll manage issues. So I won't waste time when we get to issues at all. It's the same process that we're using to manage risk that we use to manage issue. Okay. So, as a PMO person, your major job actually is to develop this process. If there is no process on the project you're going on, you have to identify the risk, log the risk in. So when a workshop, we just identify the risk, we have to log the risk in. You can see assigned to a different team. If the risk assigned to a different team, then communicate details to the assignee with risk number. So we're talking about risk owner now. So that means is assigned to a different team. Oh yes, then assign it. If it's no, then it's still within our team. That means it's assigned to one of us. Then the next thing we now need to do is we now need to qualify the risk. When I say qualify the risk, you want to talk about what is the likelihood, what's the impact. That's what we say quality of. We want to talk about the quality of the risk. So we have, is this a risk? So we're trying to qualify the risk. Remember when I said it earlier on that we said, we have a risk. We have a risk of Office 365 not having publisher on it. Oh, someone identified that risk. Okay, we say, okay, let's log this in. Number 2, let's log this risk in. Okay, let's assign the risk to Tolulope. Tolulope is your whatever. Okay, Tolulope is saying, okay, let's qualify the risk. In the midst, so Tolulope is not talking with our team to say, let's qualify this risk. What is the probability that this particular risk will occur? Have we ever seen an Office 365 without a publisher before? No. The probability is very low. Okay, what if we even have the issue? What's the probability? What's the impact of this? How many people? How many of us are using publisher? Trust me, the impact is low. Most people have publisher on their laptop, they've never even used it before. So the impact, if it doesn't get installed, is very, very low. You get? So we now say track as a task. So that we can see that it's a risk, even though the risk is very low. Right? Now, sometimes we identify some risk, and at the end of the day, we discover that risk is actually an action, it's not a risk. Or that is an activity, is not a risk. So we say, okay, let's document it as a task, let's track it as a task. That's what you're seeing as number 5. Okay, now, the risk itself is very high. Like the major not being available is very high. Let's manage the risk. Do we need to escalate this risk? Yes, we need to escalate the risk to Madam Mayor, to say, Madam Mayor, if your laptop is not available, you are the sponsor of this particular project, but if your laptop is not available, there is no way we'll be able to finish this project in the 10 days timeline that you've given to us. Right? Now, okay, we've escalated it. We now say, okay, she's now saying that, okay, your team, go back. Go and think of how to mitigate this particular risk. You're now saying that, okay, let's talk about risk disposition. How to mitigate the risk. Propose mitigation plan. Mitigation plan accepted. Yes, let's execute it by saying 2 hours. From day 1, do you have a free 2 hours? Let's get your laptop. Let's work on it for 2 hours. Let's return it back. So what we are trying to do is we've got the mitigation action to say we've looked at your diary. We've noticed that between 12 and 2 o'clock, you are always on lunch break. So we can always make use of your laptop during that time. So what we've done at that point is we've done a risk mitigation. Let's go to 2. Track as others. We've logged it as issue or task or gap. So this is not a risk. Avoid or transfer diary. We're saying that we need to avoid or transfer this risk. So if we're saying that we need to avoid, then because we don't want to do this task, we need to have a change control process in place. I'll talk about that. Or we're saying that we'll accept it. Mayor is saying that apologies, guys, I am so sorry. There is no way I'll be able to release my laptop. We need to accept this risk. And my laptop should be there. That means until I'm able to go on holiday, that is when you'll be able to work on my laptop. That means the project will not be finished by then. So you now need to tell, so we are accepting the risk and say, okay, then we do night stuff. Please sign off that based on your requirement, based on your approval, we were only able to do 9, and you can close out the project. We can end the risk, and we can come back later to do it. Does that make any sense to anybody? Okay, so a red log is not set for approval as a log. It's a content in there that needs to be reviewed totally and needs to be agreed by the responsible parties. It's the responsibility of the PMO person to always make sure that the document is up to date, that the log is up to date. If there is no PMO working with the project manager, it's the responsibility of the project manager to make sure that the log is produced, the log is documented, the log is updated, and the log is being viewed on a regular basis. If the project manager, if there is no PMO within the project, so the project manager will have to produce it, no, not single-handedly produce it, because he will need to work with the project team guys, but it is his property to make sure that it is populated and it is documented. Sometimes, if they're using SharePoint, so if they're using SharePoint to, I know I mentioned this earlier on, if they're using SharePoint as against an Excel spreadsheet of log, you can tell your team to say, team, everybody's allowed to go into the SharePoint to identify risk. So go in there and identify risk, but it's the responsibility of the project manager to make sure that the risks are well defined, the risks are well analyzed, both in quality and in quantity, and the risk response plan are well documented. Yes. But the PMO lead, a PMO manager, a PMO analyst, a PMO coordinator, a PMO supervisor is there. It is the job of the PMO to make sure that that document is produced and updated and up to date. So this answers your question, this answers your question. You can see the process steps. Identify, yes, the project team, we all come together to identify. Log the risk, you can see logging the risk, which is more of the log itself. The responsibility of the project manager to do that. But if there's a PMO person, it's the responsibility of the PMO to do that. Communicate details to assignee or risk number, project manager. Qualify the risk, project manager. Track a task, action item, project manager. Manage the risk, project team. Does that make sense to everybody? Risk disposition, project manager. Propose mitigation plan to the whole project team. Update risk log, inappropriate other log, project team, everyone, we all come together. But like I said, we have accountability, we have responsibility, we have consult and inform. Project manager takes full responsibility. Execute mitigation plan, the whole project. Alter project plan, project manager. Update risk register to close risk, the project manager. Does that make any sense? Any question before I move to issue? Okay, Francis is asking me, so which comes first, the risk process document or the risk log? So, the risk management strategy, not the risk process document now. Sorry, maybe I need to backtrack. Sorry, Francis, what do you mean by risk process document? Roland Ayokongi. Francis, please can you type, what do you mean by risk process document? Because I don't mention anything like risk process document today. So I'm wondering where that phrase is coming from so that we don't confuse ourselves. Oh, okay. Okay, so the process flow that I showed you, okay, the process flow will be part of the risk management strategy we spoke about earlier. This guy here that I was talking to you about, it will be part of the risk management strategy. Remember, I was talking to you about risk management strategy. This is where we talk about categories, this is where we talk about parameters, this is where we talk about the tools we want to use and all that. So it is part of this. So at the start of a project, when you're doing your risk management strategy, you want to have your risk process in place, that this is how we want to manage the risk. And that is what the risk management strategy is actually all about. Does that answer your question, Francis? So the first thing you need to develop is a risk management strategy. What's the strategy for us to manage the risk? So that is what will trigger your log. It is what you agree in the risk management strategy that you will use in developing your risk log or your risk register. All right, so let's go to issues. In the absence of no other question, okay, so an issue is a threat to the project objective that cannot be resolved by the project manager. Not in all cases, really, but that's what the definition says. So, a risk that has occurred, is called an issue. So, if we say that there is a risk, remember we define risk as the likelihood of an event happening. Risk is it has happened. So, issue is it has happened. Meaning there's a risk of Brexit. There's a risk of people voting Brexit on June the 22nd or whatever that day was in 2016. Now, the result now came. Brexit has happened. We now have an issue in our hand. Does that make any sense? There was a risk before, but the moment that thing happened and Brexit happened, Brexit now became an issue. It wasn't a risk anymore. It was now an issue that we now need to deal with. Well, thank God they dealt with it already. And all that. Do you get? So that's the difference between risk and issue. Risk is the likelihood of an event or a negative or a positive event happening that we need to tackle or analyze. Issue is that risk we spoke about. It has happened, or an event has happened that is going to cause a delay or have an adverse impact on the success of the project. Alright, Patty is asking, so the absence of the laptop in the earlier example was an issue? No, it wasn't an issue. Don't forget we said there is a risk of Madame not being available. So if we identify that risk and the Madame now said, we now discover that, oh, Madame has even traveled for the next 10 days with her laptop, an issue has happened. That's an issue. We identify the risk that there's a probability of Madame Mayor's laptop not being available when we need it. It has not happened. So we now discover that 2 days into the project, Madame Mayor has traveled for 2 weeks on an assignment to Brussels. That is now an issue because if we are 2 days into, yes, issues will always be a threat. Now, we've not discussed in my 15 years of managing projects, we've never discussed positive issue before. Okay. So, like I said, you have to identify issues, you have to analyze issues, you have to document them on the project issue log, you have to take corrective actions, you have to report, you have to escalate, you have to manage, and you have to analyze the effectiveness of the corrective action. Like I said, you can see that it's not in any way different from the way you're managing your risk. The process are the same. You can see, identify, log it, qualify it, issue exists, yes, then manage it. If it's a no, what is it? Is it a risk? Is it an action? And you need to manage it that way. So let's go to dependency management, and dependency management will take us into project planning. I think so. It will take us into change process. Okay. Dependency management is 4 things. Basically, meaning we're saying that what activity do we need to do first before we do the next activity. So we're saying that, like our London Borough of Bexley stuff, a dependency can be external or it can be internal. We're saying that we are actually dependent on IT Certify to deliver, because they happen to be our vendor, to deliver the Office 365 before we can start installation. You can see now that we are dependent on a particular vendor to deliver this particular software for us before we can start installation. Another dependency is we need we need the laptop, we need the installation of Office 2010 that is on it before we can start installation of Office 365. That is another finish to start dependency. We can say that, another thing, we need to install antivirus. We can say that that's fine. We can do both together. While they push their own antivirus through the server, we can be installing our stuff. We can say we can do both together. We can start the installation together, but not necessarily finishing together, because it takes 5 minutes to install antivirus. Meanwhile, for our own Office 365, it might take us 2 days to install the Office 365, but we can start it together. So that's what we're saying, start to start. We can say that, okay, these 2 activities need to finish together. So whenever you're talking about dependency, you want to talk about, are they external to your project or are they internal dependencies? So you need to make sure that these dependencies are documented as well on your project. It is very, very critical to document dependencies, because if you miss a dependency, a typical example, I give you a typical example, which most of you might not know, is the next bank holiday, which is in May, will not be on a Monday. Normally, bank holidays are always on Mondays, but unfortunately, May the 4th should have been the bank holiday, but it's not going to be the bank holiday. It's now the May the 8th. It's a Friday this time around. For this year, it's a Friday, as against the Monday that it has always been since the inception of the United Kingdom. Now, we need to do a kind of stock build, and we've actually used that days as stock build and all of that. Now, here comes the stuff. So, our vendor is telling us that, unfortunately, because of the bank holiday, we will need to move things because his staff will not be available, and meanwhile we work through bank holidays and all of that. So because we are dependent on them and because they will not be working, we have to move it. We capture this as risk earlier on. We say, okay, the risk, but unfortunately, we just have to manage it because we are dependent on them. It's an external dependency, so we need to work on that. There's a risk, because of that, a risk, it has happened, now an issue. Don't forget, they've moved bank holiday without consulting anybody from the 4th to the 8th, we now have an issue to deal with because our vendor will not be working on that particular day. Does that make sense? Yes. Alison, if I can call you Alison for this. Yes. Dependency informs critical path. So dependency is not the same as critical path, but dependencies informs critical path. For you to have critical path, you must have dependencies. Does that make any sense? So dependency is not critical path, but dependency informs critical path. So before you can have a good critical path, which we'll still talk about if time permits us today. So like you see here, we have both internal dependencies and external dependencies. So internal dependencies are a precedence relationship restriction that one action has to proceed either in part, in total, or another activity. Is something on which the successful delivery of the project critically depends, usually outside the sphere of influence of the project manager. Okay. Identify internal dependencies between tasks of a project. So within the project, we need to identify what needs to follow before another thing follows. Our project, remember we discussed about the jollof rice making project, and we said, oh, we need to boil the water before we pour the rice, we need to blend pepper before we can pour pepper, and all that. So you can see that those are dependencies that we've identified internally within the project. So because we've identified the dependencies, we can now see that, okay, this is our critical path. Because that activity depends on that activity depends on that activity, we can say that informs our critical path on the particular project. Okay, participate with stakeholders to identify, negotiate, and track critical external dependencies. You have to conduct dependency workshop. As a PMO person, you should be able to conduct dependency workshop to say, okay, guys, let's come together. What are you getting? What are you giving? As a project manager, what do you need? Who do you need it from? Oh, okay, project manager told you I need A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, but with this A, B, C, D, E, F that you need, what exactly do you need? Okay, I need A, B, C from Francis. I need D, E from Tolu. I need that from Mandy. Does that make any sense? So we are holding a workshop and we're talking about what we need, what we don't need. To say, okay, because I need this from them. Okay. Man is not saying, okay, if you need that from me, I need this from you as well, because that is what I will need to be able to produce this thing that you need. So what we are trying to talk about is, at our workshop, we're just trying to analyze what are the dependencies within this particular project. Does that make sense, everyone? Okay, so you can play with this in your own time. Before you go to this page, try and play with it to say, overall house prices are beginning to fall in this area. Is that a risk? Is that an assumption? Is that a constraint? Is that an issue? Or is that a dependency? Make sense? Okay. Any question? 1 minute to ask questions. Okay, Francis, is it possible to identify all the dependencies in a project, or you have to identify at each stage to include it? Yes, absolutely. You need to identify at each stage of the process. Why? At the start of a project, you want to actually encourage people to try and identify as many dependencies as possible, so that we don't start getting surprises along the line. Okay, all right, let's go ahead then. Let's go to change control process. Now, for change control process, if you understand change control process. They can bring you in as a PMO person, just come and handle change. Even they have their PMO analyst, they have this, but they will bring you as a PMO change manager. There are rules like that, and they pay them good money. Just to say, all you're coming to do is, why is this? Because on project, there will always be changes. And it is very, very likely for project managers to initiate changes without going through a process. They can just wake up and say, oh, that change, yes, let's do it. Okay, step back, who's approving this change? Who have we analyzed this change? Do we know the impact of this change? Do we know what this change is going to affect? Do we even know if this change is necessary or not? Does that make so they will always bring in someone, while in most cases it's actually a PMO analyst that is expected to do that exercise. Not to analyze what the change impact will be, but to make sure that he or she is documenting the process, he or she is making sure that people are raising changes, that people are not just implementing changes without raising changes, to make sure that only the changes that are approved are being implemented, and also with the project manager doing that. So let's look at what exactly is change control process. It's a methodological approach of capturing, managing, and implementing changes. Ongoing management of changes and enhancement in a single standard tool, meaning a single change process. Whether you're using SharePoint, whether you're using an in-house built change process. So most organizations have got an in-house change process that they use. I'm sure some of you must have heard about Confluence before, some of you must have heard about Jira before, some of you might have heard of SharePoint before. So there are some organizations actually build that change process template or change process log in some of these tools. Every organization, change is always a big deal. So as a PMO, you are expected to develop a process on how to manage changes on project. So let's look at a typical process on how to manage. So this is a typical change process. I'll put it on presentation mode. So I will use this to explain. I'll use this to explain what I've been talking about. Incident management ticket and scope change. So we're saying that incident management ticket. So someone has raised a change request. Someone raised a change request. Reference incident ticket or department contact email in CR. So we have at CR. You'll be hearing me saying CR. CR is a change request. So someone has raised a change request. From the change request, we send the number to the project manager, or saying break or fix or enhancement. What is this change about? Do you want to break, do you want to fix, or do you want to enhance something? Oh, it's an enhancement change request. Submit approved work request to project manager. So you need to submit this to project manager. So when you submit this to the project manager now initiates a formal change request. Log in a change request. Now you're not expecting the project manager or everybody put together. So sometimes everyone comes together on one particular change. If there's a change request, I can call a meeting to say there's a change request review meeting today. So as a PMO, I will always advise that once in 2 weeks, always organize a change request meeting, review meeting. A change request review meeting is a meeting where you go to your log, to your change request log, you filter, are there new change requests? There are new change requests. Okay, you're sending it to everybody to say, we have our change request meeting in 2 days' time. These are the new change requests. You're saying that, you raised this particular change. please, do you have all the details of this particular change? We'll be talking about this change at the meeting. You need to brief every one of us. We need to understand what the change is all about. We need to criticize the change. We need to talk about what this change is all about and all that. So as a PMO person, you are giving people heads up. So see that this is what is going to happen and all that. Does that make sense? So that's what we're saying about you conduct a preliminary review and authorize CR for estimation. The CR is approved for estimating. What you now need to do, yes, provide all detailed specification necessary to complete the change request. Okay? So, CR required fields completed. You now conduct a final request approval review. So, when we say final request of approval review, there is always a forum or a forum called the Change Control Board. Called the Change Control Board. Now, the Change Control Board might have the sponsor or whoever the sponsor has delegated to be on the panel, might have a project manager, the program manager, and yourself, the PMO, that is taking the changes to the Change Control Board. Some call it Design Authority, some call it Change Control Board, some would call it Change Control Authority. And sometimes it might just be one person, it might just be the sponsor or the program manager that is doing all of that, that is just approving the changes. Now, what you're doing is you're taking all the changes that you have analyzed. So say we've analyzed this, we've analyzed that, this is it, this is that. Do you want to approve this change or you don't want to approve the change? So the Change Control Board will look through the change or look through all the changes and say, okay, yes, that change is acceptable, yes, we requested for that, yes, we approve that, yes, we have money for that, yes, we have time for that, and all that. So after that, you now see they will either do two things: approve or reject. Rejection can be two ways. Rejection can be no, we don't want to do it. Two, rejection can be, the second type of rejection is we don't have full information about this. We can't really understand what this is all about. Please, can you go and review and bring it back? Okay. Okay, so we now say let's review and bring it back. So basically, that is how a change request or change control process is being done throughout the project. Any question? Francis asked that yes, it's possible. There are unforeseen dependencies that will crop up. Yes, we just have to manage it. So that's why we always have dependency management. What do we do when they crop up? We just have to call a meeting. This is a dependency. What is going to affect? Let's do the impact analysis of these particular dependencies. What is it going to affect? How can we manage it and all that? Yes. 1 minute to ask your questions. A change request is you're requesting for a change. A change management is managing how that request is being done from start to finish. That is change request and change management. Now, that is a simple explanation of what change management and change request is. For Bridget, I'll take you to the next level of what change management is. Change management, sometimes we don't use change management on project. We use change management on an entire organization, on managing change within the organization. So if an organization is managing change, we don't say there's change request. We limit our change request to project, program, portfolio. But when we're talking about change management At the higher level, we're talking about the entire organization, where we're introducing a new policy, we're introducing a new principles within the organization, we're restructuring the organization and all that. So that is change management. And while we're doing that, we need to manage people on how they will react to that particular change. So that is the higher level when they talk about change management within an organization. Does that make sense, Bridget? Okay, so what framework approach have you taught today, whether Agile, Waterfall, or is it Prince2 or PMP? Now, I've not taught about any of those two today. What I've taught you is on the job, because both of them actually make use of these logs, change requests, risk, issues. No matter what the project is, this is generic for any, whether APM, whether PMP, whether Prince2, whatever. It's generic in documenting your risk, in doing change control processes, in doing issues, in doing dependencies, and all that. Does that make sense? Okay. This is a very simple stuff. Let's go to project reporting. Project reporting. As a PMO person or as a project manager, this is also your baby. Your baby in the sense that you are expected to develop reports. You're expected to develop reports, whether weekly, whether once in 2 weeks, whether monthly. A report is expected to be developed. And you have different type of reports. In Prince2, we use highlight reports. You hear highlight report. Highlight report is always telling us what some people use Excel spreadsheet, while some people use Word documents. It's just what you have in this one pager. Me, I love this one pager, and that's what I always use whenever I go on project. I always introduce a one pager to them to say, because what you're trying to do is what is called MI, management information. With this particular report, if this is produced weekly, it shows everything. The first part shows the description and the purpose, the description of a project, which is always standard. What is the budget? What is the schedule? Where are we? What's the start date? What's the original completion date? What's the forecast date? What is the F status? Are we amber? Are we green? Or are we red on the project? The risk we're talking about, the overall risk, are we medium? What are the top issues, risk, and scope changes within the organization? So, notice this is always a bullet point. Mitigation plan for this particular risk. What have we accomplished in the last 1 week? If it's a weekly report, what have we accomplished in the last 1 week? What do we plan for the next 1 week? But if it's bi-weekly, if it's once in 2 weeks, this will be what have we accomplished in the last 2 weeks? What do we intend to do in the next 2 weeks? Okay, Fumi is asking, what report tells us if a project is going on target, i.e. going on well? No report tells you that. What is going to tell? Well, some can tell you health, some tell you, oh, health check report. Well, fortunately, you know what? I've not used an health check report before and all that. All I do is I just do an overall. Most projects, 99.9% of a project will do an overall report, status report of a project. Now, it is now when I see the status report of your project, I will know whether your project is going on well or your project is not going on well. So there is no report that says that, oh, this report is showing us that project is going on well. What if the project is not going on well? What report will show us that? So all you need to do is just need to develop a report. And by seeing that report, if this guy here happens to be red, you can see that I can tell you straight I can tell you straight that your project is not going on well because you just told me that your overall health status is red. Does that make any sense? If it's amber, you're telling me that something is wrong somewhere, but I think it's still manageable. That's what you're telling me with amber. Does that make any sense? Yes. Yes. So that's why I said whenever you have your project report, it's going to show you. If you look at the Gantt chart underneath here, the Gantt chart underneath there is saying that okay, the status date is today, and you can see the down part is in green, and all that the progress as of today green is that. So you can actually see that with the way this project is going, we are still green. As of today that we say what we'll do today, we are doing it. So that shows that with that particular Gantt chart that is green, we can tell us that our project is going on well. So the moment you see a report, the report is either telling you that your project is going on well, your project needs considerable attention, or your project is not going on well. So don't always focus on the report I want to get out is the report that is telling us that we are doing well. No. All you want to get out is the overall report of a project. Does that make any sense? Okay. So that is report. This is another typical example that is explaining what this report is all about. And you can see major, considerable. You can Google it. You can Google project report templates. You have various project report templates. When you get on the job, there is always an in-house project report template. You don't have to reinvent the wheel unless they're asking you that, when you've worked before, have you used anything simple, any simple project reports before that you think we can adopt? If they ask you that, oh, bravo, you can now pull out your own that you think you're used to or you've developed in the past and use it for them. Okay. Okay, next is process mapping. For process mapping, I won't disturb you too much, but you are expected to be able to use Visio. You must be able to use Visio as a PMO person. If you don't know how to use it, please go and learn how to use it. Remember, I showed you risk management process, I showed you issue management process, I showed you change management process. They will expect you to develop some of these processes, and you can use Word document to develop it. You can use PowerPoint to develop it, but the simplest tool to use to develop it is Microsoft Visio. For Microsoft Visio, it's all about this. The box you can see is telling you from step 1 to step 2 to step 3. The box is the activity box. The room box is the decision box, while the circle or oval box is the stop or the start box. Like you can see, the oval is the terminator, start or finish. Rectangles are the steps or the activities. The diamonds are the decision. The decision is always telling you that is it a yes or a no. Should we go there or should we not go there? Turn sheet are documents. Large D is when we're having a delay and we have our arrows showing directions. So it is it's always good when you can put on your CV that you know how to develop processes using Visio. It adds to what it's sellable when you do that. Makes sense? Okay. So that's why I said here, you need Visio. If this was a face-to-face training, I would have given you examples on how to use Visio and all that. So that is a Visio. That's a mock-up of a Visio. That's what Visio looks like. Just moving things around within. You can see, and also when you're doing your Visio, there's something called swim lane. So you can see this. This is just showing boxes, flow charts. This is a typical flow chart. And what you can see here is a swim lane. A swim lane is showing you different sections within the process. So instead of just pulling your robots, pulling your boxes around, you can actually sectionalize your process for it to have more meaningful interpretation of what the project is all about. Okay. That brings me to the end of the project, which is planning, which I'll talk about planning. I won't use my slide to talk about planning. I'll just take you through, because this is the major thing I've done for years and all that. So I won't restrict myself to the slides. I'll just pour out what you need to do as a planner on the job as a PMO, because as a PMO you are expected to know how to use at least Excel spreadsheets to plan. If not, they expect you to use MS Project. Some organizations expect you to use Primavera, but Primavera is quite advanced. When you're going to rail industry, or you're going to heavy construction industries, they expect you to be able to use Primavera. But if you're within IT, minimal, low rail construction project, MS Project is one of the things that we'll expect you to be able to use as a PMO person. MS Project is the simplest tool you can use. The moment you can add activities, the moment you can join activities together, we finish to start. That is all it is. Then put your duration in it and all that. I tell people for 2 years, this is what they were paying me for. They were paying me good money, and all I needed to use was just know how to use MS Project. I was using MS Project. I wasn't the PMO. I wasn't the PMO analyst. I wasn't the PMO lead. I was just a project planner. And all I go to work in the morning to do is go to the work, open MS Project, bring on the activities, plan it for them, push the report to them, come back, sit down, and they were paying me good money for 2 years. So just because I could use MS Project. Again, so as a PMO, they expect you to be able to use MS Project. I would have added MS Project to this training, but it's quite difficult to actually take MS Project because you're using your laptop to view, and also I'll need you to practice. So that is why I won't even bother going to MS Project. You can look at it on YouTube, use your phone to look at it on YouTube, install it on your laptop. There are free trials you can install on your laptop. Use your phone to look at YouTube, how to add tasks, how to add links and all that on it, and look at your and do it on your laptop basically. But yes, let's go on the planning. I'll talk about planning for the next 10 minutes. So for planning, there is something that you need to do, and the first thing you need to do is, like we spoke about risk management strategy. For planning as well, you need to do what we call the schedule management strategy. You need to develop a schedule management strategy. If you're being brought into an organization as a planner, yeah, your full job is to develop a schedule management strategy. But as a PMO or as a project manager, you might not need to develop that. because you have people that might have developed it, and within an organization, like I said, within an organization there is always a schedule management strategy. All you need to do is just to pick it up and fine-tune it to whatever you're working on. So you do your schedule management strategy, and the next thing you now do is you now call the team. So there is something we call, this is where workshop comes in. There's something we call the planning workshop. Now, planning workshop is bringing everybody together into a room to say, guys, today, the project we are planning for racking and warehouse project today. So you have to call everybody involved within the racking and warehouse project. To say, all we are doing today is racking and warehouse project. Out of all the 7 projects we have, we're just picking one. We're picking the racking and warehouse project. For this racking and warehouse project, what we want to do is schedule management. Okay, an example. No, schedule management strategy is a document. Within the document, we now have how do we intend to identify our activities. I just gave an example. Okay, we'll do workshop. That's how to identify activities. Okay, we'll look at documents. In order to identify activities, we use our WBS, our work breakdown structure. We spoke about work breakdown structure 2 weeks ago. We use our work breakdown structure to identify activities. Okay, I want to tell you that for what we are planning, within our management strategy, we can say that any activity that is more than 20 days, we have to break it down. If an activity is more than 20 days, it is not manageable anymore. So we need to break it down into more manageable components. To say, we have an activity that is 50 days. I can tell you that 50 days activity, no way, we need to break it down. Can we break it down, please? A typical example is, I can tell you that, okay, we want to transfer data from front end to back end. We're saying transfer data from front end to back end. We're saying it's going to take 50 days. I can tell you that no way. As a planner, I'm writing it inside the management strategy, the schedule management strategy to say any activity that is more than 20 days must be broken down into more days. So the maximum days you can have for one activity is 20 days. Don't forget, I'm only saying this because for planning standards, that is a planning standard. With the activity that is more than 20 days, you have to break it down. Does that make any sense? An activity that is lesser than 1 day, we don't really want to deal with it. Half a day activity, do we really want to put that in our plan? Does that make any sense? We're saying that every activity must have resources attached to it. It is inside the schedule management strategy that you see all of this. That all activities must have resources, must have someone doing the job. I just don't want to look at your plan and see activities without people attached to the activity. I don't want to see your plan like what was it Francis that said it earlier on about dependency and critical path. I don't want to see a plan without a predecessor and a successor. So it is inside the schedule management strategy that all of these will be documented. Does that make any sense? So that's what you see inside your schedule management strategy. It's just a strategy on how to manage your plan. Okay, good. So you have your after you've done your schedule management strategy, the next thing you want to talk about is you want to list your activities. You want to define your activities. All right, guys, let's define our activities. What are the activities we need to do in order to carry out this job? So during the workshop, you are telling everybody, okay, racking and warehouse, guys. Okay, let's talk about racking and warehouse now. Start thinking of all the activities you think we will need. Get your pro sheets, guys. Start thinking of all the activities you think you will need. Now, if there are no team in place, if there's nobody within the team, it's just a project manager and yourself. All you need to do is just sit down with the project manager and just say, okay, can we start listing all the activities? A typical example is, there was a particular business change project that I sat down with the project manager today, the project management with the business change lead to say, guys, on your part of a project, can we both sit down and list out all the activities that you need to do? That's all I need from you today. Then maybe next week we'll now go further to say how do they follow each other, or what are the days we need to do this for. For today, all I got away from him was just the list of activities that is like 50 lines of activities that they need to do. So let me go and rest, let me go and think about that. So the first thing you do is you list all the activities that needs to be done. So after you have listed the activities that you need to do, don't forget that we are just listing. So everybody's just brainstorming, writing things on the post sheet, putting it on the wall, and all that. So someone might tell you that, okay, let's think about how to cook rice. And the first thing that someone is saying is, oh, how to cook rice. Okay, have salt. And I'm sure you're wondering, but that is not the first activity. No, what we are doing at this point is we're just listing all the activities that needs to be done. So we're not concerned about how they flow at this point. What we are concerned about is listing all the activities. So whenever you are conducting your workshop, or you're planning workshop, or you're talking with the team and all that, first, what you want to get out of them first is, let's list out all the activities. After you've listed out all the activities, the next thing I need to go through is called sequence activity. You now go to sequencing of activity. Now, sequencing of activity, this is now where you now start saying, okay, what follows what? What do we need to do before what? Okay. Hey, Tolu, I know you said add salt. Oh, Mandy, I know you said blend pepper. But before all of that, we have this activity A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, whatever. So is at that level, we can now say that, okay, let us sequence our activities. What activities do we need to finish before we can start the next activity? What activities do we need to do before we can do the next activity? Oh, are there two activities we can do together? Yes, while Mandy is washing the rice, yes, Bolaji can start washing the pepper and all that. So on a project, you have activities that you can do in parallel. You have activities that they can start, they can finish that. So when you're sequencing the activities, this is what you are doing at this point in time. So after you've done your sequencing of activities, and you can do all of these. You can do all of this in your next project. You've listed your activities. You can now start putting this activity finished before that, and you can do it in your Excel spreadsheet as well, depending on how good you are with some of these tools. Okay, so the next thing you now think about is you now talk about, okay, let's now see what are the resources we need to carry out some of these activities. How long will it take us to do some of these activities? So what you've done so far is you've identified the activities, you've sequenced the activities the way they should go. You're now saying, how long will these activities now take us? Who are the people responsible to carry out this task? So you now start putting all of this together with the team. Don't forget that all you're just doing, you're just behaving like a scribe, because you don't really have technical knowledge of what this project is all about as a PMO person. You're just doing as a scribe. As a project manager, yes, you should know a few things about that so that you can question some of the things that the team guys are saying. A team that can tell you that, oh, you know what, it's just going to take us 5 minutes to cook the rice. No. 5 minutes? Really? No, we need more than 5 minutes. Or it's just going to take us one person. No, we need more than one person to do this. So as a project manager, you are challenging, you're questioning with the technical guys, you're questioning, you're challenging it and all that. So that is what is expected of you as a project manager or as a PMO person. Yours is just to be there, document, manage the plan. So as a project, as a PMO person, you want to manage the plan. And how do you manage the plan? After we've put all of this together, we will now all agree that yes, we've all agreed that these are the activities that needs to be done. We've all agreed that this is the way they should follow. We've agreed that these are the days, or these are the days that each of the activities will take. We've agreed that these are the resources we need. All right, let us now baseline this plan. Let us now baseline this plan. So while we're baselining the plan now becomes what we need to be measuring performance against. So after designing the plan, we now say, this is our critical path. This is how we want to start the project. This is how we want to finish. This is the journey of a project from start to finish. That is what is called a critical path. The journey of a project from start to finish. So we have the journey of a project from start to finish, and we're saying this path is what is critical. Within that project, we can have activities that are floating. We can have activities that are got slack, that are not within the critical path. If they are delayed, they might turn to the critical path and all that. So we have activity A, B, C, J, K, L, and all that as the critical path. So that is what we will be measuring, and within that activity, within the plan, we have our milestones at different points to measure performance. Remember, we said a milestone is using a measuring performance, a success point within our plan. So we have milestones, and those milestones are what we are reporting inside when we're doing our project report. When we're doing the project report, those are the things, these are our recent accomplishments, these are milestones. These are the things we need to do in near future. Those are milestones. So within your plan, so it's from your plan that you'll be putting this in your project. Say, these are the activities within the plan that we did, that we achieved the last time. These are the activities that we need to do in the next 2 weeks. These are the activities we need to do within the plan. These are very, very critical. Planning is very critical on your project. Any question, please? What about an example of sequencing of activity? Yes, example is what you have here. You can see this. What you have here is sequencing of activity. Say, this first activity must finish before the next one can start. You can see activity A, B, C, D can start together, but not necessarily finishing together. That is what sequencing is all about. We just want to see what activity needs to start before another activity can start. Can two activities start together, or can they finish together? I spoke about this last week. This is dependent on how you want to go about your project. At the moment, I should be looking at you developing your project brief. You should be focusing on developing your project brief while you have your logs ready to document any risk, to document any issues, any assumptions, constraints that you might be facing at the moment on the project. But you should be looking at developing a project brief at the moment to actually have a detailed understanding of what the project is all about. Because project brief will help you to have a fresh understanding of what this project you actually want to work on going to be about. Okay, any other question before we call it day today? When I say they are not managing, that doesn't mean it is not under their control to manage. It is under their control to manage, but they are not the ones disturbing themselves with the day-to-day numbers, crushing the numbers to say, okay, that is 2 plus 10, that is 10 plus. No, they are managing the cost, they are managing the project. So they are the ones saying that, no, we can't buy that, no, we can't do that, no, we can't do that. But to start adding 2 plus 2 together, 4 plus 4 together, no, project managers will not get involved with that. Or should, let me say, project managers should not get involved with that. I'd rather leave that to finance PMO that has been given to me, or I leave that to someone else, basically. But that doesn't mean they are not the one managing. Yes, they are managing the cost, but not when I say managing, not the day-to-day addition of figures. Thank you, everybody.